All right. Okay. Let's get this thing going here. Well, thank you very much for attending my session here. We're going to start right now. And this is on SSIS integration PowerShell into SSIS script task component. And my name is Maximo Trinidad, PowerShell MVP. Contact information is there if you care to write to me. And I'll be gladly to help. So, everything going here. Sponsor, these are sponsor, Pura Site, Conducive. We are powered by Office 365. We meet every Thursday, first Thursday of the month, and we use Lync as our communication for the meetings, and you're welcome to participate if you have a microphone. More information. All right, we're going to be also showcasing a little bit of Sapient technology, PowerShell Studio 2014 and XML, Primal XML 2014. The presentation, I'm included a sample of viewing XML file. That's the intention of our package we're going to build with SSIS. Don't forget MVA, Microsoft Virtual Academy, free learning, more than 1 million registered users, and you can also check out the topics on Windows Azure SQL Database Server, as well as PowerShell, as well as Hyper-V, as well as anything else related to Microsoft technology. Free training, very important. Also, when you participate in their training, you get a certification of completion, which is kind of handy, not bad. You can download the videos, the presentations, study, and that way you can be efficient at your work. Free education, it doesn't hurt. All right, here we go. Let's deep dive into our presentation here. It's going to be hopefully not overwhelming, but here we go. Tools in this presentation. We're going to be using Sapient technology, XML, Primal XML. I mentioned Primal script, but I won't touch that really. With PowerShell Studio will be enough. By the way, PowerShell Studio I'll be using 2014, the latest version. Also, we'll be taking a look at Sharp Develop, which is a .NET, the .NET language conversion piece within this. It's another Sharp Developer is another .NET IDE tool, you know, for you to develop .NET application. But we're going to concentrate in their one of the features they have in it, which is converting languages, which is very practical when you, if you don't know C#, then you can convert from VB to C# and vice versa, okay? And then we're going to be using Microsoft SQL data tools, and in this case, I updated my version to 2013, so we're going to be using the latest version. Then we're going to do a quick talk and a little bit of PowerShell coding on how to explore your XML objects. We're going to go into the demo. And then after that, we're going to jump in SSIS, which is the component used within the SQL data tools 2013. Examples we're going to be providing here is going to be mostly done in C#, but also provide example in my demos, including zip file as vb.net. And we're going to be taking a look at console application and their configuration file. Sometimes you have to work with configuration files. And PowerShell is a very good tool to inject stuff into a XML file, which is what the configuration file is. And of course, tips and tricks when working with SSIS. Hopefully we'll get into those things. Okay. This PowerPoint presentation is full of information. So, tool of the trade, Sapient technology. You know, I work a lot with Primal XML and PowerShell Studio 2014. Sharp Develop is an open source .NET application. So if you don't have, in the case you don't have, or you don't want to install Visual Studio, but in this case we need it. But in case you want to do, you don't have the money to get Visual Studio, you can download this free Sharp Develop will develop .NET applications also. But in our case, we need to use the SQL data tools in order to build our data packages. that will run in our SQL Server. Okay. By the way, SSIS build packages, which could be import-export of different type of data between SQL Server or other external sources, and then those packages get put in SQL Server agent to run, schedule and run in SQL Server, if you didn't know that. Another very important piece in this presentation is the Visual Studio Gallery extension, which is the PowerShell tool for Visual Studio. This is what enables you within your SQL Data Tools application to read and work with PowerShell. That way you don't have to go out and use another IDE like PowerShell ISE or even PowerShell Studio in order to keep working with your code inside your packages. So that is part of the demo. Well, here's an example screen. I mean, everything in this presentation already have screenshots, and then I'll go with the demo. So this is an example, the Primal XML Editor. Of course, I'll be using the most latest one, which is 2014. But it's a good example of any type of file. This editor is really important because sometimes, I'm going to demo, this format doesn't show on your regular notepad. So it's very useful. NetSports is an example of an XML configuration file that could be part of a SQL Server SSIS package, or it could be also a .NET application that uses the XML config, exe config file in order to provide parameters into a .NET application. In this case, it's a way to avoid going back in opening Visual Studio, make the changes, compile in order to just change parameters. Oh, hold on a second. Still recording? Okay, here we go. Perfect. All right. Good. Alrighty. So, by the way, Sid, you there?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Welcome. Yeah, I just started. Don't worry. In the real demo, you'll catch up on what I was talking about here. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Okay, so we're talking that we have this. This is an example of my presentation here on an XML config file, which normally provide the way of passing parameters into a .NET application. This could also apply like a web application. You know, they need to change some kind of parameter. They use XML to do this, and then you can use PowerShell to inject, add, remove, change this XML file. Then this way you can avoid you can avoid just opening Visual Studio and make changes, compiling, and all the mumble, all that step, unnecessary step, when you can use PowerShell to only to do these changes quickly. Okay. All right. So here. All right. Now here we go. XML and PowerShell. First of all, in order to consume the XML file, we need an accelerator. And below here, you'll see a sample line for how you build an XML object in PowerShell. You need to use encoding UTF-8 because that's the standard coding of an XML file. You use the get content to get the information from that file, and then with the accelerator bracket XML close bracket and the name of the variable, then you're able to build that variable containing that information. Okay, and let's go for the demo now. All right, so here we are. Using for this leg of the presentation, I'm using PowerShell Studio 2014, and oh my God, my lovely wife has brought me food. There you go. Thank you, honey. Appreciate it. All right.
No,
of course, my dog just came in and pay a visit because they follow the food. Come on, guys. Come on. Go outside. Go outside, Baba. Come on. Thank you. Thank you. All right. All right. So as you can see in here, I'm going to use my PowerShell Studio. I open my script editor here, and the code is open. One of the things that you can do here, I can highlight the line of code. In this case, I'm gonna do this first block of code here. I'm gonna invoke item, which means open my XML file. And I'm gonna right click, and then I'm gonna do selection console, which is gonna be in the bottom. And this will open the XML file in a default editor. Okay, in this case, it's opening Notepad, right? You can see in this case, it shows that I built this file following, the structure of an XML. Product item, and with the products item, you see all the different information. Everything is HTML similar there, right? All the tags and the items that contains within the tags, opening, closing tags. You can see in here, see? So I got 3 line items in this XML. All right. Now I'm gonna build my object, my PowerShell object, and this is done by the following line. I need the accelerator XML. I'm gonna build an XML object and use the get content. In this case, I didn't use the encoding. It's best practice to do this. And as you can see in PowerShell Studio, the IntelliSense brings in the parameters you might need to fill in. Okay, and I want to do UTF-8, and there you go. And I'm going to run it, and that builds my object. And in this case, I'm gonna give what does my object contains, right? So for that, we use the famous. I use the famous the object first, XML, pipe it to get member. This is the way to discover what that objects to discover your collection of objects within the in this case our $XML object. And but this case, I'm going to do something better. We're just going to pipe again the result to outGrid view. This is the alias for the commandlet outGrid view. It's good to know that when you want to speed your work, you could use aliases. When you build your script, it's best practices to use the full commandlet name. Okay, but for this case, I know the alias is OVG, outGrid view, and you gotta spell it right. I want to press enter, and this will pop up window that will let me view my collection of .NET objects within my $XML. And as you can see in here, this object contains methods and only one property. And there's an atomize also. So see all the different member types. Methods are is what makes you work with your object and make changes. Okay. As you can see here, there's one here, save. It's one of the most common one, and save will use the parameter of a string, save string file name. So you know that method, when you put something like a string of a file name, that means it will get that object and will save it. So I gave you a hint of what you can do with this. Now, in order for us to get to the data, to the actual data, is the property, right? Is under products. So I'm gonna go back in here, and now I'm going to display my information in 2 different formats. I'm going to display it as a list format, as a table format, the results, and this will display the records that XML has. And you can see, it just looked like data from a database. Okay, this is a list format, 1 item at a time, and then this is more like a table. This is the table format. columns, and rows. Okay? And of course, this is the full commandlet use get member out grid view. The same thing I did before, except I show you how to use the alias, which is OGB. Okay. All right. So let me get here. Let's see where's the next piece of the demo here. Okay. Now let me go back to my second leg of the XML file, which is now we're talking about the configuration file, right? Now, if I want to take a look at the configuration file, let me just go ahead and come back in here, and I'm going to go save configuration. There it is. This is an example of my configuration file. And this type of configuration will open as a web browser. Okay? It gets very clumsy. Now, as you see, this is a configuration file used in a .NET application called test console passing argument. And this is saved under my settings inside my .NET application. Okay. Now use the same methods. Let me go ahead and highlight all this. And we're going to open another grid view for that file because we're exploring the object. Okay. Always get used to the way of object. Let me just get member, and then let me go ahead and see what I have built. And you can see it's very different than the other one. Okay, this is different type. And here we got a couple of other properties, configuration and XML. And there's an item in here too. Okay, everything about this is exploring before you can work with your objects and do the scripting. Okay. Now here an example of, okay, before I work with this configuration file, what would I like to do? Well, in case something happened, I could use the save method. Let me increase this a little bit more. I could use the save method in order to make a backup copy of my configuration. In case something happened, I have a copy. Then I can go ahead and navigate. This is already because I already investigated, already discovered where I need to go within my object to get the data out. Okay, and this is the string that will allow me to display all my parameters in their content, and also serialized as, which is what type of parameters I'm feeding into my .NET application. Now, one thing to identify in here is this is .NET navigation. Okay, XML dot. Let's see if I have the yeah. Okay, XML dot, right? Configuration. If you follow me here. XML, let's see, products. This is, made a mistake of closing the other one. Hold on a second. Let me redo this one here. We need this one. Again, let's refresh this one. Okay, because there's a trick for this, right? You can see below, I go xml.configuration.application setting. And the only way you do that is because this first piece of the object stops in configuration. The dot help you navigate to the next, then go deeper into that piece of the object. Okay, and to do that, let me show you this. Let me go highlight this, copy, paste, and let's do this. Key, copy, paste. See how we navigate into the next deeper in the object. So remember, when you build the object, it's not only one set of objects, it's of objects within object within objects. Okay, and this applies to anything. Could be AD, could be SQL Server. That's why you have to explore your object to understand what you're doing there. And then here, you see here, this application settings, which is the next level I'm going to jump into to get to my data. Okay, and that's why the result, when I get to that data, then you get to this other piece in here, which has to be included in single quote, because it's not really, how to say this, this is a trick when you're working with .NET XML, okay? Just because within your .NET application, this is the name of where your setting is going to be at. It's not part of the .NET object, okay? This is within the .NET application. This is how to get to the settings, and that's why you have to be on single quote. This is the tip and trick, one of the tip and trick. Then you can do the dot settings and pull out the values, okay? And then again, here is another way to go directly to one piece of those parameters for that XML, right? And let's run it again. Oh, wait a minute, it trapped something here that I didn't wanna. Okay, hold on a second. Paste. Again, from the selection. There you go. And as you can see here, if you follow the coding here, this is another trick. You can encapsulate the whole string. This is a one-liner. It still is a one-liner. When you use the single tick, follow a space and a single tick, it means continue in the next line. And then you do the where. We're going to look for the parameter check date dot. As you can see in here, this is all one line to get the value. I'm going to that particular parameter in my XML, the field that contains a value, and that value, what I'm doing here is I'm changing it in memory. I'm going to go to get date, and it's going to be in this format. And this is a good trick. This trick applies to anything you do in scripting. This is a good trick if you want to trap the date and convert it in a text format. And this is a text format it's going to be converted to. But that's the format my .NET application needs that date to be in. Okay? And to show you, like, go back up here, the data, you see the format? It has, I'm complying with the way that date format is. Year, month, and day. Okay, so that's why here, when I'm formatting the get date, is going to pull out in year, month, and date. As you can see here, year is in lowercase, month is 2 M's uppercase, and day is smaller case. Okay, there's a lot of little tips and tricks in here. Also, you have a method called getEnumerator, which can help you just bring information in a snap. It's already enumerated, and you can use that also to display information when you know the path, when you get to the right path, to pull out that information from the XML. I'm going to run this again so you can see here. There it is. You see, I'm using the getEnumerator to enumerate my all those items I have in my XML with values. Okay. And then again, if I wanna here on my previous line, I did replace. You can see here 2014 06 19, and previously I had it after 2011 09 29. But then again, this is in memory, right? So in order for me to make the changes permanent, then I can go ahead and proceed and do a save, use the save method on my object, and this will save it. This will save it in a different folder. It changes. I mean, this is just a theory, right? I mean, you can save in the place, do the backup of that XML somewhere else, and then just make the changes where the XML file reside, right? So I'm going to do this, I'm going to run it. And that's, go back into my folder here, my temp folder, and then it did the change or didn't do the change? Wait a minute, where did I save it at? I want to make sure I save it in the right place here. Temp new, okay, it's a new. New config. Okay, so we got temp new. Let's see. Let's take a look at this. And there it is. Ah, you notice something different here on my file? I didn't notice this before. I got this file already created here. It was created on 9/14/2013, but it didn't change. It didn't update the date, but it did update the XML. Wow. Okay. That's why I got a little bit off in here. So I thought, oh, wait a minute, why it didn't change the date? Well, the file is changed. Good, good, good. I'm doing good. Doing good in here. So that ends. So this ends, you know, the piece of the XML, working XML with PowerShell, and I show you how easy it is to use the get member, study your objects within your PowerShell objects. That collection of objects is very necessary to be understood in order to make you efficient working with it. Okay. So I continue this now. It's a complete script. Is an example of how the complete script will look like, right? This script is going to be consumed by our SSIS package. That's the intention of it. You have something that you build in PowerShell. It's running without any problems. You test it and test it. Okay, this is a functional script, and now it's ready to be implemented in our SSIS package. And now we're going to go into our .NET piece of SSIS here. Now, here I'm providing an example of a VB.NET and a C# application of our executable we're passing some values on. Okay, I'm not going to dive into it. To give you an idea, you can see the similarity between, differences between VB.NET and C#. At the end, it's going to be an executable, which the parameter is going to be passed by and changed by PowerShell through SSIS package. Then, if we were to open Visual Studio and we were to add and changes our parameters within the Visual Studio, this is where it's going to be at. But then again, we don't need to open, if the application is already built, and the only thing is changing values in the application settings, we don't need to open the .NET application and make the changes and save them. We can go directly into XML and do the changes as I demo with the PowerShell script. And now we're gonna be ready to open our SQL data tool, which is our application we use to build our SSIS package. No. Thank you, honey. Yeah. My lovely wife checking on me. All right. So instead of going through the slide have everything in here, but this is using SQL Data Tools 2012. I'm going to be using SQL Data Tool 2013, which is the latest one. So let me go ahead and jump into the data tool. Do the live demo straight from there. Close this one up. And just go ahead and make sure I open the 2013. There we go. Any questions, good time for questions if you have any.
Nothing at the moment.
Okay. Did you find it interesting? Anything confusing?
The XML piece of this is interesting. Yes.
Yeah, but this is the thing. It just, as I said before, it's just a matter of one line of code can build the object, and the rest is you do the discovery. You know how to navigate. Use the dots, the dots to go through the different properties and to get to the point where the data is. And as long you get that, you all set. If you're working with XML that are applications XML, like a .NET application, or even maybe if you ever have to work with web config and or a SQL config, SSIS config, then it gets a little bit trickier. But I show you how to pass that trick. Sometimes there's a string separated by dot that need to be the single quote will help contain and read as a one single string, you know, and that's the example that I showed before. All right, let me be sure to open the solution. Yeah, if you have MSDN, you can I mean, I'm using Visual Studio 2013 because I'm using Windows 8.1, which is preferred. If you're using Windows 7, you can still use SQL Data Tools 2012 and do the same thing. Okay. And as soon as I open this, and I'll show you the PowerShell tool for Visual Studio. And a few more minutes here to open. There you go. It takes a few minutes to load first, and then everything gets cleaned up. You can see here, because I'm using 2013, I have all the patches loaded, already got my Server Explorer, also recognized my Windows Azure objects, which is great. All right, so here I got my SSIS PowerShell integration solution open. Here I got the flow with some sample. This is it's a no-nonsense flow, meaning it doesn't have any order, it doesn't have any, it's just sample of script tasks with different way of how to integrate PowerShell in there. Okay. Now, one of the most important piece in here is that, as you can see on my right side of the panel here, I got my scripts, and if I do right-click and open my script, ta-da! I got PowerShell coded, and it's in color. You know what it's all about. This is great, and you can use hold on the control and the mouse roll, and you can resize the code. And this is thanks to click on the tools, I go to extensions and update, and this is because I loaded the PowerShell tool for Visual Studio, which is available for both 2012, Visual Studio 2012 and Visual Studio 2013. You can see, where is it? Tools. Click on Tools, and you can see it right here. Okay. Adam Driscoll is one of PowerShell MVP. He built this, and he made it possible for us to work with PowerShell within our SQL Data Tool, which is great. And this way, we can also move the solution to SourceSafe. Well, not really SourceSafe, what I mean is Team Foundation Server. So that way we can do versioning on our code. All right. But I won't go into that part. That part is a little more complicated it will take a lot more. But as you can see, I got all my all my different code loaded in here. Then I got my, this is the flow, this is the actual package. It's called, the extension of this is DTXS, and this is what it used to be called SQL packages for performing data transformation. In this case, I'm using script as component in order to take my script, consume it, and produce a result. Different example here is going to show you one. When you go to edit, this will bring my script task editor, and as you can see in here, script language is going to be Visual, Microsoft Visual C#, and which I'm using C# in this case. And then I do the edit script. Click on the edit script button. It takes a little bit. It's going to open another editor session for the .NET code. Oh, it takes a little bit. So there you go. What happened here? Oh yeah. That's a. Do you want? Yes, remove that add-in. Made a mistake of installing VMware and it added components to Visual Studio. And then after that, I started bombing out because of a component. If it shows up. Since Visual Studio is busy, you have a lot of application opens right now. And make a successful opening of the code. There you go. Taking time. All right. All right. Here we are. Let me maximize this, and then let me just go ahead, control and roll the bar so you see what's going on in here. In this case, I'm putting an example of a text box. It's not needed, but I'll give you an example of things that you can do in here. I'm defining a variable here, a DTS variable name. So we're going to pass in values, and then I'm going to pass that value to my text message. Again, at your leisure, you can go ahead and check this code. Let me see, there's sometimes namespaces, things are added. In this case, in order for the message box to show up, we need to add the system Windows form. That's why the message box will show up. Quick demo on that. By the way, you see here, read only variables. Because that's a variable I'm passing information to. So just go ahead and cancel here. And because the good thing about when you're building these components in SSIS, you have the ability to run it individually. So let me run this, execute task, so you can see what's going to come up. It's going to come up with a message box. It's executing, it's running, and here's the message box. So testing, class within, text classes, text classes. I'm passing the value, user variable test1. That's the value I'm passing, test1. Just to, wait. Most of the time when you build DTS packages, you don't need, what do you call it, message boxes to pop up. Sometimes you want to keep something outside of a schedule, you want to run it manually, and you want to put some messaging in there, then you can do that. Okay. All right. So this is an example of adding a message box within your script test and running it in the package. And the next example here, we're going to open. There's no variables. There's no passing information. We're going to look at the code. I think in this one, I'm started to add PowerShell code, but not from the file. This is adding code straight into the .NET application. Okay, here it is. Let me bring it wide. Let me go ahead and maximize this. Very important, very important. Here I'm adding system windows again, and I'm going to go down here, and this is an example of adding the PowerShell in a string, the PowerShell code in a string, just to give you an idea of how difficult it is. That's why I would rather have it functionally tested in a script file, PowerShell script file, and polish and fine-tune, test it thoroughly, than doing this. But it is possible. You can add PowerShell code in a string, but this is how tedious it is. Concatenation, how to do it. You got to understand that everything in the PowerShell coding, like the semicolon, is a terminator line. And then you see the example from the script file pasted in here in one way, but how to put it as a string. And then you use the PowerShell .NET System Automation .NET class in order to be able to run it within the .NET C#. As you can see here on the namespace, I only have System Windows Form. But in order to run the PowerShell code, I need to add a reference. If you look at the reference on your right-hand side of the panel here, I added the System Management Automation. That would execute, will read the text, the string in here, that PowerShell code, and the commands add script that will do all the necessary conversion and do the invoke to run it. Okay. Now this is the hard way to integrate PowerShell in a script task in a SSIS component. Okay. Now what is there is possible. Okay. So let me close this one out. I'm not going to run it. Okay. I'm going to go to the other one. Now this is a cleaner way to do it, which is possibly, we'll say, the preferred way. This is the way, in other words. So make sure the .NET opens up. Oh, it takes a little bit. You see how easy it is on this one, because we already did all the hard work and all the testing, right? Then again, I'll go to my namespace in here, Windows System Form. I think I left that there because of the message. I think this is not really needed. I don't think I'm using it. All right, now look how clean this one is. Look how clean this one is. I'll create a run space. I'll create a pipeline. I'll do an open. And the only thing I need to do is provide in this format at double quote the path and the script name .ps1, do the invoke, and then of course it will run. Again, I need to include the System Management Automation reference in order for this to work. Okay. You already have the script tested before by itself. It's going to run. There's going to be some situations that if you don't open SQL Data Tools as an administrator, you will get some error trying to run it. It's more like a permission error. And let me bring in the form in here. That's another tip. Of course, in the script, you see a lot more information in here that is practical. Oh, wait a minute. There it is. Why this? Ah, I failed on that one. Hold on a second. Oh, let's go back. Let's go back. I do need a using this because it's. Oh, there it is. Damn, I missed that. I'm blind. Okay, yeah, I gotta add on the namespace System Management Automation run spaces. In this case, okay, I gotta add that. Okay, previously I think I had to add the system automation too, so I missed that. Sorry for that. So in order for this thing to work, I'm glad that I went to the presentation here. All right, so that's required. Everything information is in here. Okay, everything is in here. now, there you go. This is the error I want to show you. This error might come up if you don't open your SQL data tools as an administrator. Basically, it's telling you like you're trying to call a file, a script, a file that is somewhere on your disk, and is a permission error. So you gotta, if you run as administrator, you should be fine. So when you save and deploy this into a SQL server, it should be fine because you already have the credential with it. Okay. That's the only pitfall if you forget to do that. Okay. Now on my other example, no, tell me I did that. No. Oh, there it is. Okay, thank you. All right, here we go. Okay, so I'm gonna close this up. Okay. Now in this other sample here, it has a red dot. This is a debug. It's identifying on a debug this script, this component. Okay, and the purpose of this is that you can debug your stuff. You can navigate within the .NET code and debug in order to see if there's anything wrong. Maybe something got corrupted in your script file, right? And this is a very nice piece to demo. Let's see if I can run it. Let me open first the code. I'll take a look at that. There you go. It's coming up. We'll maximize. Then you go ahead and control and roll. You can see what's going on in here. You have the namespaces and namespaces. System automation is there. And now here is how you want to mark for debugging those lines, right? And when I run this, when I execute that script test component, it's gonna stop at that moment, right? So let me just go ahead and throw this up. Let's run the script. The script test here. Execute task. There we go. It's running, and it's gonna. Soon it's gonna debug in debug mode. It's thinking. It's thinking. It's gonna get there. It's gonna get there. And if it doesn't, good. Give me the error. Come on, I dare you. Because I didn't open this in administrator mode, so it might give me the error. I hope it gives me the error. Any question for now? Well, this responds to me.
No, sir.
Ask away. Ah, awesome. Here you go. Dope. What is this? take a look at this first. Ooh. Let me pause this for a second here. You know what? Let's try this. It did bump out on me. It gave me an error. Let me run the whole thing. There you go. All right. That's why. So it took that long, but trying to debug something because it was building an error. So the debugger failed on me. But this is the error that will come up when you don't open your SQL data tools in admin mode. So good example here, live example. So let me just go ahead and go back. The debugger, yes. Okay, now go back in here, right click, run as administrator, say yes to continue. I want to show this live. I got the slides already included in here, but I mean, I like it. I like to do the live demo on this. This is fun. We'll go straight to the piece of for debugging, but this time will be faster. See how it should be faster now. Open as administrator. Yeah, this sample package have a lot of good stuff and coding in there. Even for those who doesn't know how to use SSIS, you have some good materials.
What is SSIS? What does that stand for, Max?
It stands for SQL Server Integration Services. That's the tool used for data transformation, import, export data between external files or the different type of data files to SQL Server back and forth. SQL Server provides you with a SQL agent, which is the piece used for scheduling jobs.
Okay.
So this is the piece you can build those packages that you can import into a SQL Server agent. I gotta. Wow. I guess I have. I don't know why it's coming out with Visual Studio 2012, which is not 2012. Stop working. Why is this doing that? And if I click here, it's gonna exit. That is. Wow. That little debug component is not working for me. Something I did some updates, so I guess that piece, something got crossover between 2013 and 2012. But no despair. That's why I got the presentation. So let me go back in here. All right, script as component, method 1, reading script file. You use the add commands, add, and then you see the @ sign and everything in between the double quotes. In this case, it is the file path with the script name. Okay. Now, on the next one, which we're going to demo, was the debug. The debug, when you go into the code, you can, mark for debug, and when you run it, and in this case, oh, by the way, there's two methods. Method one was the one reading the script file using the pipe command. Method two, sorry for that. Method two, reading the script file using the system IO file read all text. Still, you got to use the @ and the double quote, whatever's in there. There's a two method you can use for reading the script file, which is reading a text file. Okay, and then you can mark, the debug lines, so that will help you navigate through it. And this is what it will do. The debugger will come in, it will open up, and you will see an area. You will see an area where you can mark. You get your help extension, and it give you the message that it's giving you, because it's gonna bomb out. That's the intention of debugging. Stop where the problem is happening. And when you do the view details here on the bottom of the screen, exception settings, there's a view detail. You can navigate and you can go deeper into the objects of what's trying to run, which is very interesting after you set up those breakpoints. Now, what it do in the debugging, we see the arrow that is marked, I'm stopped there. You can do data visualizer, and this will bring in at the bottom here, you see PS line, which is PS line is the variable you define. So you can go and actually see the string you're passing into your .NET SSIS in here, into the script task. Okay. Epa! Yay! Let's dance all together. Woohoo! All right. So yeah. So at least you can see here, PS line. You can see the value. You can navigate. You click data visualizer, and then it will open up another pop-up window, and you can see the actual code of the actual. Sorry for that. The actual. Come on. The actual code you're passing into your .NET script task, which is great. I mean, there's a lot of tools in here you can use and make things work. And then again, here's an example of the Visual Studio Gallery extension. It's free. Oh, it's free. Okay, this PowerShell tool for Visual Studio is free, and you can go ahead and download it. By the way, if you don't have Visual Studio, if I'm not mistaken, you can download the the SQL data tools, and it's free. Then you got to do the install it is the SQL data tools for business intelligence, I think it's called. Also, you can download the Visual Studio shell free, and then you can load the PowerShell tool for Visual Studio. So either way, even you don't want to spend the money to get Visual Studio, you can download the shell, integrate the PowerShell Studio, the PowerShell tool for Visual Studio in it, and you could work with PowerShell in it also. I mean, you have so many different ways to work with this. And then, of course, there's the page showing where to download. You can just go into Visual Studio and automatically connect to download automatically. And then, of course, after that is done, after you download that tool, this is what happened. On the project, you'll see a PowerShell. So you can integrate your PowerShell. That's why here in my example, see, this is a project. PowerShell on the right side top here, it says PowerShell script project. And then under that, I can add all my scripts. This is going to be accessed by my DTS package. Okay? This is awesome. This is how you keep everything together. You'll have everything in separate folders, and lose track of what you have done, because you're gonna get it from here. Okay. And then of course you can do the view code. That's how you open your file after you add them into your project. And then again, you can also there's some options in here you can change. This is like if you want to edit your code, you can do changes to your theme, Visual Studio, and of course resource information. Okay, slightly outdated. If you want to work with 2013, this at least provides some information on 2012 SQL Server data tools. Okay. And I came up to the end of the presentation. Woo-hoo! Any questions?
Max, when you have that SSIS, well, I guess my question is this. Why would you load PowerShell scripts into SSIS when you could just use a .NET language, I guess, to do the same thing, right?
Not really. In this scenario, I'm showcasing the fact that you might have a .NET application that has a XML config file where you need to make changes to some parameters in there. And instead of opening Visual Studio, to open the source code, go into the piece of the parameters, add, save, compile, you don't need to do all those steps. You can go directly to XML and pass and do the changes to the parameters in there. Also, you can schedule it. You might have a scenario where I did have this. You're having a scenario where a parameter needs to be changed weekly and run as scheduled. In this case, the schedule is could have been a SQL Server agent, because that's the batch will deal with data and stuff. So it's running as part of a DTS package, integration packaging in SQL Server. So give you some flexibility.
Yeah. Okay.
It just those type of scenario that you can integrate. You may have. Look, I'll show you a good example here. You have a script like this one. This script, basically what it does is it goes to my SQL Server. It uses my T-SQL to extract some information from my table. I go Windows Authentication, connect, bring in the data, but I want to build an Excel file automatically from it. Right?
Yeah.
And Excel automatically from it in the background. It will read, it will build the file automatically. It will use the range. It will auto-fit the entire columns that I'm building based on the data that I extracted, and will put it in a particular folder. And by the way, this is a good trick for labeling file name with date and timestamp. This is a good trick here, right?
Yeah.
In this case, I can do a test, make sure that file is not. This is just for how to call it, just testing. Because if I put a date stamp, it's not going to be there anymore. But here I have the necessary block for if I don't use date stamp, I could look for the file if it already exists, replace it, right? And then at the end, because I'm doing this for scripting, and I'm using the COM object of Excel application, it does leave the trace of Excel lingering in the system, and this is a way to clean it up.
Okay.
So I have a script that I can run manually. Hey, I'm tired of running this manually. Yes, I could do Windows scheduling and run this. And yes, if I decide to use SQL Server agent, I could build the package. I could put this, integrating the script in this method, in this one of these method and script tasks and run it schedule under SQL Server. Okay, because SQL Server will do scheduling. I would say slightly better than Windows Scheduler.
Okay.
In my opinion, it's a little bit tedious using just the Windows Scheduler on that. SQL Server is a little more, you can go to a particular area, you see the jobs there. There's a way to graphically see the window with all the schedule if it finished or not. It's meant for that. Okay. So this is a way to take a script, put in a script task. The script is already built, right? It's a folder, a script file, and then use SQL Server, SSIS, and integrate it in there. So this is a good example. Of course, if you have SQL Server, if you're allowed to install SQL, build a SQL Server job, and you probably might need the SQL admin to help you or his assistants, but it makes us more sturdier, And another thing is, you have no source control on Windows Scheduler. You have to figure that one out. As if you use SQL data tools and already your system, your SQL administrator may have some type of source control, so that we keep track of those jobs with the script where they're at.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Hey, look, if that's why we're doing this. Concerns, opinions, I accept anything, man. Talk to me.
Go ahead.
Do you find it interesting, Greg?
Absolutely.
Did it help in any way?
Some, yes.
Okay, now let me show you what I got in here, okay? Because this, I know I went a little bit. Let me show you here. I can build a zip file. Okay, this is all what I got in this folder, right? This is all the thing I'm giving away, right? I give him VB.NET code snippets. Give you an example here of the code. Of course, I'm using a pound as a comment. You know that pound is more PowerShell-ish, right? But this is just to give you an idea that below here, this code in here is how you can build a string with PowerShell code in it. And then, of course, below here is the string to inject the PowerShell script in your script task. And then I give you some additional code in here of regular PowerShell and XML. So if you study all these little snippets in here, I mean, it gives you a lot of good information working with .NET code, C# and VB.NET. See, like here I got example, I'll delete file in C#, things that you can integrate into that script task, okay?
Okay.
And then let me see here, an example of how to.
If you're sharing your screen, we can't see it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't see.
Oh, you got. Oh, you know what? You got disconnected. Hold on a second. Sorry for that. Thank you for that. How long ago? I didn't really notice that.
Oh.
Okay, here we go. Should have been right now because I mean it just. There you go. Okay, well let me go back. What's the last thing you saw?
Oh, looks like it's coming up now.
What's the last thing you saw on the screen before?
I was more listening than watching.
Ah.
Sorry about that.
Oh.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, no problem. No worries. No worries. The thing I want to do is watch, because then I can do things like this. Now here's what I'm gonna do. Let me open. Ah, that's not it. It's 2000. Do I have loaded 2013? Let me see. Yes, there it is. 214. Yeah, so I'm gonna show you the. Yeah, I was showing the code snippets in here. So that way you can see, you know, like the code you can integrate inside the script test component in both in .NET and C#. So that way it makes your life a little much easier, you know, to give some tips and tricks. What can I do? What can I include in the script test component? This is an example of the C# code. This case for deleting all files, you know, you want to put that into your SSIS package. Just a matter of studying and opening and in here. This is an example of how to run a PowerShell from a batch. All the parameters that you need to do it. Okay.
Right.
So there's just a lot of little things in here, you know, that you can use. I provided also the sample .NET application, you know, that you can open with I think this is on 2012, Visual Studio 2012. But I give you the solution. You can see the code behind. Okay, you can see the code behind in here. There's the module, open web, you know, in this case, let me open this one in here. An example of this is Primal script, which you can open any type of script in .NET code. So this is an example of the .NET code of that application that I'm running included in here. I didn't run this in the demo. It's not needed. I was just concentrating on how to implement the script. But to give you a good example of .NET code in here, okay? If you ever want to explore .NET coding, all right?
Okay. Oh, your screen stopped sharing again.
Oh my God, what's going on? Shoot. I think because maybe I'm running out of memory. I'm stretching the machine with all these things open at the same time.
Right.
Yeah. Thank God it didn't happen during the recording. Yeah, let me close a couple applications in here. All right. Well, I mean, I'm done. So, Adnan, are you there? I see you sneak peeking here. Sydney, you're live.
Yeah, I think whatever screen yours changed, mine couldn't take it and kicked me out of Lync.
Ah, gotcha. But you're the one causing them problems. Ah.
Yeah.
You're trying to hack into my session here.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me try it here. There you go. All right. Well, here we go. Well, by the way, this script that I'm showing here, I blog about it. It is the last item in my blog. So you want to take a look at that. It helps you build from. Let's put it this way. The intention is to build from a SQL data, but I guess if you're savvy enough, it could apply to anything else. Okay, so I'm using it for SQL data, but the bottom part, as long the object is breakout in properties and values, then you should be able to use it for anything else practically. And then maybe you know, just change the name of the file, the output file, to whatever is meaningful. So in other words, this is a template. perfect template for building an XML Excel file from an object. Okay, so look at it on my blog site, maxtblog.com, and that's the last blog post that I did. Okay, especially you said you like to start building and making reports. This is a good one. Okay.
Yeah, I like the way you have the string set up so that it takes today's date and the time stamp there. And
yeah, this is a nice trick. This is a nice trick. I mean, this could apply for many things outside of this purpose, you know.
yeah,
And then also,
all
yeah,
set up in one line there. That's pretty cool.
yeah, and also when you work with a Excel application COM object, you gotta be conscious that every time you run, it will open. You're able to quit, but somehow the COM object doesn't allow you to close and terminate the application. You gotta do the get process and do a kill for that process that stays there. This is something that I haven't seen anybody talk about with all this many years and their samples of Excel. Okay, this is a good trick. This is a good one-liner just to do that. Look for anything that Excel after what I'm done and clean it up. Because if not, it's going to consume memory in your system. Okay, because it remains open. You could have 5 or 6, or every time you run this, it will build an Excel process. Okay.
So that XSL that Excel object you have there, it has a method to quit,
But it
and
doesn't have a method to terminate or close the actual application. It remains open in memory.
Okay. I see
The
what
file
you're
is done and it quit, but the application stays open. It's like an empty, it's a non-existing workbook.
saying. Yeah, just sitting there taking up memory.
Yeah, and you just want to get rid of it.
Right.
Okay, so yeah, and this is a nice. I mean, this script. I was telling Greg, this script is one that I practically had since 2009, but this section here for building the data, it was bad, man. I was looking at it. Did I did that? I mean, it worked, you know, but I eliminated about 10 line of code or maybe 15 line of code in this for each. Matter of fact, I was doing a do while, a while statement to build the data. And look how easy it is, man. Whatever rows get individual records. So for each column in the record, build me the string.
Yeah.
You know, build me the row with each cell in it. And the trick to make every cell text only is this: an @ sign.
That's huh.
Yeah, let me show you the result. This will be the result. It's auto formatted. Let's see. Yeah, let's open it. Let's go ahead and open it. There you go. Let me open it. There you go. It's already formatted, and as you can see in here, because sometimes you just want to pass, you know, sometimes you will have some values with zeros in the front, so you want to keep it everything text.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so that's why it's better off get your data out as text, because it will retain all those numeric properties there. Okay.
Okay. All right. So where are the leading zeros? Where's that? Or you're just
No,
right.
In this case, my example. Let me show you my blog site. I have it on my blog site here, so you can see what I'm talking about. You see? Leading zeros. In this case, I need those leading zeros.
Yeah, got you. Okay. And then you preface that with an @ sign, and it allows those leading zeros to remain intact.
Exactly.
Okay. That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, you want to pass the data, you know, without erasing anything. So this way, you know, it's workable. Okay, and that's all. This is the data magic right here, man. Adding data from row number 2, column 1, and boom, that gets done. That's the heart right there.
Mm-hmm.
That is the heart. See, that's the heart. First, oops, hold on a second.
Mm-hmm.
See, and then this is the header part. Is creating. I'm documented everything. Creating workbook and sheet. Use visible equal 1. If you want to see it live on the screen, like you can see populating the data live in your screen. In this case, I'm using 0, which stays in the background.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Then add the workbook, add the sheet, then prepare my columns to be put in the first row. Build the column information. So this is flexible. It doesn't matter how many columns you pull in, how many, how many columns and data have the object. It is flexible. It doesn't matter. It could be 2, 3, 4. It could be 1.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's no you manually setting up how many rows, how many columns I have. It's already start from 1 and start from row 2 for the data. So, and this is the trick. There's a lot more properties. You know, you can be very, very savvy because it's just a matter of understanding what properties you have available. This can use entire column out of it.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay, and then of course this block in case if you don't have the date timestamp, then this following code will work great because you're just replacing the file.
Okay.
I'm removing and I'm building it, or I'm just building it. See?
Mm-hmm.
You see it?
Yeah, I like that.
All right, and then of course at the end, all is done. Boom.
Yeah, kill it all. Very cool.
Okay. And then of course one thing I want to show you on the Sapiens technology here, it was the ability to build modules.
Mm-hmm.
See, I have a series of modules here that I called it Discover PowerShell. I have this already uploaded also on the Microsoft Gallery. And this is the series of commandlets that help you get more information out of your help. So I built this. What's that?
Help PowerShell command. Show PowerShell.
So you see, I have show help about PowerShell topics, show help PowerShell command, show help PowerShell objects. And each one of them have documentation on it that you can do get help on the show and the name of the commandlet.
Mm-hmm.
You see, there's documentation there. It's very, very, very simple. Very, very simple. Okay. But I'll do a separate session for only the like an hour session on the Sapient Technology product. So, you know, for this particular one, the PowerShell Studio. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I just got into modules. Just this past last week, I just made my own module, and I threw a bunch of functions in there, kind of like you've got right now, and yeah, now I'm able to just build my own little toolkit. I like that.
Yep. Awesome. Awesome. Well, guys, I guess that's all for tonight. Have any more questions, Greg? Anything?
No, nothing at this point. I appreciate you taking the time, though. Definitely.
Hey, maybe one, maybe two. You know what? I made myself available, and I hope you guys have learned something from this.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay? And don't be afraid to ask, man. That's what I'm here for.
Very good.
Okay? Well, guys, then, Anand has been logged in. Oh, wait a minute. No, I think he disconnected. I don't see him. Anand, you there? Yeah, I think he disconnected. Yeah, well, remove him. Okay, guys. Then I'm gonna finish the session then, and feel free to email me. Our next session will be with Jeff Waters on Active Directory Health with PowerShell next month. And I think that's on July 17, which is the third Thursday of July. Let me confirm that. Yes, on July 17. Okay?
Sounds great.
Thanks, Max. And thanks for the help the other day on that Azure SQL database. We finally got that script working and connecting up to the Azure SQL database. That was really cool.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Glad to hear. Don't be afraid to text me and call me, man. Okay? Let me know if anything.
Yeah, I was really glad to get a hold of you, but I felt bad because it was right there on your blog.
Well, you know what? You know what happened? Somehow my blog got messed up. I don't know if it was something with SkyDrive, but at the same time you were asking for that, all of a sudden I couldn't find my links. So it was weird, and I had to change some properties in there also. I had to update the links for the latest ones because it was not showing up. I think Microsoft did something with SkyDrive, and they suffered some kind of outage or something, because that day was unique.
Yeah, it was. What happened, we ended up changing one of the parameters and getting connected. It was, I can't remember, it was something about security.
Maybe it was the certificate.
Yes.
Yeah, the certificate something gets messed up, so you gotta be careful not to erase it or something. Which doesn't hurt. You can always build another one and put it in there. That's it. You gotta go to Azure and set it up there first. Then you can consume it in PowerShell. Just keep that in mind if you ever have to keep working with certificates. You can build it first on your system, then upload it in Azure, and then you can use the scripting.
Yeah, that was weird. But yeah, thanks again, man. That we ended up using that for the MTA test vest, and we loaded up a bunch of keys up in the database, and then we pulled the keys down with the script.
All right. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. All right, man. I gotta let you go. I gotta eat.
Very good. Thanks again.
All right, Greg. Thank you for showing up. Yeah. So I'll hope to see you guys again on July. Okay.
Absolutely.